I'm pleased to say I'm joined by one of the newest winners on the development tour, Gian Van Veen. Thanks for the time, Gian. How are you doing?
No problem. Yeah, I'm doing good. Just had a busy couple of weeks behind me now, and just get ready for school next week again.
Good to hear. Well, yeah, 2022, as far as the darts is concerned, it's already been a breakthrough year for you, winning your first title on the Challenge Tour, also the development tour as well. How would you assess your year so far?
Yeah, beyond my expectations, to be honest. If someone told me the end of last year or beginning of this year I would make my debut on the Pro Tour, Euro Tour, win two PDC titles on the Challenge Tour 1 and one on the Development Tour, I'll be probably calling them crazy. So yeah, it's just living the dream right now.
Well, we'll come back to this year later, but let's go back to the start for you in darts. Growing up in the Netherlands, how old were you when you first discovered darts? How did you get into the game?
I was about 10 years old. I was still playing football, and there was at the football club there was a local darts tournament, and some of my friends invited me, and that's where I started playing for the first time, and I won the tournament. And there were some other local Dutch darts players there, and they asked me if I wanted to continue playing darts and go to more bigger tournaments with them, and that's how I kind of rolled into it.
So from playing football, a team sport where you've got a lot more people involved, to then playing a darts tournament where it's all down to you and you won your first tournament, what was that feeling like when you won it?
Yeah, unbelievable, because as you said, football is a team sport, so of course you're there for your own, but the team, the greater good is more bigger picture. But when you're playing darts, it's all about yourself, and just when you win, then you get that more, that's a better feeling when you win on your own. So
from that point on, have you always played darts? Did you juggle the darts and the football at the same time, or from that point on was it darts all the way?
No, I did juggle for 3 months, but then I realized I had to play on Saturday football, but I had to darts on Saturday as well. And I didn't like practice for football, so only the matches. And when I couldn't go to the matches, then it was, it's time to quit football now and fully focus on darts, and that's what I did for the last 10 years.
And obviously, Dutch darts, there's been plenty of people to look up to over the years. Raymond van Barneveld, Michael van Gogh, and others that have been household names. Who is it for you that you maybe looked up to or inspired you to maybe follow in their footsteps?
Not really any Dutchmen. When I started playing, my idol was Gary Anderson. So every time I watched darts on the television, every time it was Gary Anderson playing and rooting for him to win. But for Dutchmen, of course, Michael van Gogh is one of the players that stood out the most and inspired me and probably other Dutch guys as well to follow in his footsteps.
Well, as far as Gary Anderson, we've seen you, we're going to come on to it, you've played a few of the Pro Tours. I mean, I'm guessing really one of the goals has got to be one day to maybe play Gary Anderson. That would be good.
Yeah, it would be good. It would be fantastic, of course.
Before you started then playing on the Development Tour 2018, what was that time like before then playing darts? Did you have a lot of leagues, tournaments to play in when you first started out?
We had the national ranking, which I played until I was 16, or no, not until I was 16, but before the Development Tour, I played on that tournaments and just local tournaments and WDF stuff like Denmark Open, Belgium Open. That's where I played my darts before the PDC stuff, but of course when I turned 16, I played on the Development Tour, and only 2 years now fully on the Challenge Tour, not really WDF stuff anymore. But before the PDC, I played mostly the national rankings.
Yeah, and we saw you have that first taste of the Development Tour when you were old enough in 2018. What do you remember about that first weekend, travelling over to England to play against the best youth players in the world?
Yeah, it was good. The experience was good. The match is not so good for me, but yeah, it was good to gain that experience, especially, as you said, against the better players from my age and older. So I think even if you're not good enough, which I knew back at the time, I wasn't good enough to go to the final or win tournaments, but to gain that experience is valuable. So that's why I played, and it's paying out now.
Definitely, yeah, we can see that, and that's what I was going to come on to, really. I mean, from that first weekend, that first taste of it, was it a eye-opener as far as seeing how much you would have to improve to compete with the best, and did it give you that urge to keep playing, keep practicing, and push as much as you could to see how far you could go in the game?
Yeah, it did, because the first weekend I was there, it's like all of the guys I knew from a couple of years ago who were then already a couple of years older, but around the same level, have really stepped up their game and getting to the semi-finals. And I knew if they can do it, I want to do it as well. And it really gave me, as you said, that urge to continue practicing and to get better, to make it to the latter stages of the development tours.
And from there, we saw you play the full tour of the Development Tour 2019. You then gave Q School a go at the start of 2020. And just before we had the pandemic, you were having your best runs to date in the Development Tour, 2 last 16s that first weekend in 2020. Everything did shut down after that. How did that affect your darts? Did you play more at home and online during that time?
Yeah, I played a lot of online stuff. We had a ranking on Tuesday and Friday for the online tournaments with a lot of great players, with tour card holders as well playing in it. And I played maybe every night. I played the online tournament, which really gave my game a confidence boost, because the years before I was playing well at home, but when the tournaments came around, it just didn't happen for me. And when there weren't much tournaments around, and I played mostly at home and online stuff, which I played good in, which gave me the confidence to continue that level at the PDC tournament. So I think the pandemic really helped my game. So yeah, that's not really good to say, but yeah, that really helped me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could see that. I was having a look through your results earlier this morning as far as your averages, your performances before the pandemic, after the pandemic, and after that break, we could see that your game had improved. You had, especially playing on the Development Tour, more averages in the high 80s, low 90s. I think there was a 96 in there against Jared Cole when the Development Tour came back. So did you feel like when you did come back, you were a better player, and when things opened up again and you could go to tournaments again?
Yeah, I really had that feeling, because, as I said, the confidence that I gained from the online tournaments back at home, of course it's different when you play at home than when you play at the PDC stuff, but I gained so much confidence from it that I knew when I walked into the room, into the venue for the PDC tournaments, that I can go on and make the semi-finals or maybe even a final. So yeah, that really helped my game.
And even last year as well, we had the split on the Development Tour and the Challenge Tour between the UK and the Europe, with the travel restrictions that we had at the time. And again, we've seen you make more progress, quarterfinals, semi-finals. Did you feel like that benefited you, having that split last year?
It didn't really matter to me, because of course it was nice to make the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, but everyone said, yeah, but you're only playing in Europe, and UK stuff is higher quality and higher standard. And if you look at Dart Connect, you can see it as well. But in that year, it was good for me, for my confidence, to maybe get to the quarterfinals and semi-finals. And now from this year, it was time to show it that I can do it as well with the UK boys involved as well. So yeah, it was good, but it was like not really my biggest test for that year.
Well, we've seen you take it up another notch this year as well, and that brings us on to this year. And I've got to first off mention the Euro Tour, because you made your debut in that back in March, going up against one of the Dutch legends in Vincent van der Voort. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was good. It was firstly the qualifier in Riesa a couple of weeks before. It was on a midweek, and the weekend before I couldn't go to the Development Tour due to COVID. So I had the feeling that I had to put something right. So I went to the qualifiers and I qualified for my first Euro Tour. And then when I went to Hildesheim for the Euro Tour itself, it was just a great experience. And to play on that stage, especially against, as you said, a Dutch legend in Vincent, it's just such a great experience. And I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. We are going to see you on the Euro Tour again this year. And you mentioned the Development Tour. You missed that first weekend this year, but when you did get back on that tour, you were knocking on the door for that first title, a semi-final. A little while later, you had a final losing out in a last leg to Nathan Rafferty. Did you feel like that first PDC title, it wasn't far away?
Yeah, I had the feeling the weekend before already, which the first 4 tournaments I didn't get past the last 64, but I felt like I was playing well enough to get to the semi-finals or final, or maybe even win it. And then I lost the final tournament of the first week of my first weekend to Geert Nentjes, which I didn't play good in the semi-final. But then the next tournament next weekend, I made the final, the first tournament. And as you said, I lost in a deciding leg, and I felt nervous during that leg. I was 4-3 up, and in my head I was like, oh, I can win it now. And then my nerves were coming, and I lost that game. But it really helped me the next time in the Challenge Tour when I played the deciding leg as well. But yeah, as you said, I can feel it coming that I was able to win one of these tournaments.
Yeah, you're on the right side of a last leg decider when you get to that next final. And that first title, as you say, comes on the Challenge Tour. And what a way to win it as well. 100 average in your semi-final, 5-0 win, and then a 97 average to edge out David Pallett in that last leg decider in the final. What was that feeling like when you got over the line and you had your first PDC title?
Yeah, unbelievable, especially to be the player like David in the final. You know, when a couple of years ago I watched him make the semi-final of the UK Open, and then to beat him myself in the final of the Challenge Tour, it was unbelievable, especially with the 1:30 checkout for the match. It was, just not really finally, because it was only my second final in the PDC, but it was like, finally I know I can do it, and finally it comes out, and just, that happy feeling.
Yes, a big step. And off the back of that title, you got a call up for the Players' Championship events a few weeks later. How did you find it walking into that room to play in those events? A lot of the big names there.
Yeah, it was fantastic. You know, first day, it was kind of nervous, especially because everyone was there, as you said, all the big guys, and just I wanted to prove myself, even though I'm still 20, I got time enough, but I wanted to prove myself. And then first day I lost first round, but second day I won a game, which was my goal for the 3 days, just to win one game, and then we'll see what happens. And I think I succeeded my goals, so it's good. And
then it was back to the development tour and your first title on that tour, and again an impressive way to wrap it up, beating the man who had started that weekend in red hot form, Josh Rock, ending his unbeaten run 5-4 in that final. I mean, how pleasing was it for you to win that title and beat, I guess, in many people's eyes, the best player on the tour in the final as well?
Yeah, it was good. You know, before the final, everyone was like, okay, you can take him on now and good luck. Let's see how far you can go. And in my head, I was like, I know I can beat him, but it will be tough, because if he's on his A game, then probably no one of us can beat him in that venue. But from the get-go, I felt not nervous, just relaxed, and he has to win it, and I can play with freedom. And I was 2-0 down, and then came back 3-2 up, and then 4-3 up, and then I felt like, okay, I can win it again. And the last leg I was quite nervous, but still hit a 14 or 15 darter to win it. So felt, it was unbelievable to beat it, especially him in that final.
A great win. And away from the darts, I also understand you're still in education as well, doing your studies. You mentioned it there, you're going back to school soon. So what is it you're studying, and how difficult has it been to juggle the darts and school, especially as you have been busy with the darts this year?
Yeah, well, I've been busy the last couple of weeks, so it was summer break, so that really wasn't a struggle with school. But last year I had an internship, but my internship coordinator, he knew about darts, and if I wanted to go, then I was able to go, so that was good. But now I'm in my final year, graduation year, so it will be more tough. But I think with school, they know about it as well, so I think we can work it out.
Good to hear. And just last weekend, you won another of the qualifiers, so we are going to see you back on that Euro Tour stage in Belgium this time. We've still got more Challenge Tour, Development Tour events this year. What else have you got lined up for the rest of this year, darts-wise?
Not that much, really. As you said, Development Tour, I finished the Challenge Tour, the Youth World Championship, of course. The Euro Tour in Belgium. I'm qualified for the WDF World Masters as well in December. And that really is it, I think, for this year. And then up to onto Q School for next year.
Yeah, you mentioned Q School there. We've seen you play it a few times, and as you mentioned, still only 20, so still very young in darts terms. But I'm sure the goal one day is to be on that main tour in the PDC full time. So what would it mean to you to one day have that tour card and be able to compete with the world's best week in, week out?
Yeah, it will mean the world. You know, if it's not really my priority this year, because I want to finish school first, and then maybe next year or the year after, or this year, if it happens, but it would mean the world. And it would be fantastic just to play 2 years on a full tour with the best of the best week in, week out.
Well, Gian, we appreciate your time. We know it's been a busy year for you so far. Congratulations on all your success so far, and we wish you all the best for the rest of this year and your final year at school as well.
Thank you very much. No problem. Thank you.